So we had this awesome rental property. We put a deadbeat tenant in there by mistake and we're paying the price. She was difficult to work with. She was very resistant to property inspections. She sued us at rent escrow, hoping to stop the process of eviction. She failed. And now the next step is the eviction. The next step is the tenant holdover court, which will initiate the first few steps of the eviction process before we legally can claim our property back. Good afternoon, fellas. I want to say first, thank you so much if you follow this story so far of our eviction drama, right? Look, before I dive into the topic today, which is a recap of the story so far, please go ahead and press like. If you're new here, look, this is me just venting and ranting all about our horrible experience when it comes to being first-time landlords, okay? So guys, before I dive into the topic some more, before I give you some of the recap, you know what to do. Like and subscribe. Let's go. We got together and we decided that we were going to dive into this venture. So what we did, as all good investors should do, is we sat around and we discussed, we talked, we planned, right? We created a business plan, we created a vision. And so we did the math behind the property, and then we found the property and we purchased it. As much as we were educated, I think we got the excitement to get the best of us, because what happened is that we allowed a deadbeat tenant in our property. And it's not the tenant's fault, because the tenant is who she is, right? She's a deadbeat. She's probably never going to change. But our mistake is not seeing it sooner. So we failed at the first step into being rental investors. And that first step is to get the right tenant in there. And we failed, y'all. We failed. We got a deadbeat tenant. And as a consequence, we're going through this eviction saga. So at the beginning, she was super awesome. No complaints, really. She paid her rent on time, and she also paid her rent a few months ahead. This tenant issue is not payment related. This tenant issue is the fact that she refused to give us access to the property for inspections. And guys, that is a huge red flag. If a tenant is giving you a hard time to inspect your property during property inspections, start getting your notices of non-renewal ready, because this is the beginning of a problematic tenant. An inspection is nothing but positive, right? It's a great way to address issues in the property before they become big deals. It's a great way for tenants to feel secure that their landlords is making sure that their property is in good standing. So when the tenants gets in the way of that, it's a problem, because it's for their benefit. If they don't get that, you have an immature tenant in your hands. Get ready, get rid of them. So that was her problem, and she got physical. She physically became violent. She physically stopped the inspections. She called the police. It was a whole conundrum. So consequently, we just gave her a notice of non-renewal of lease. Simple as that, right? Now, mind you, her inspections, the property inspections, were detailed in the lease. So she had no reason as to not let us conduct scheduled property inspections. After we sent her the notice of non-renewal, she got upset. She was like, I pay my rent on time. She talks like this. I pay my rent on time. You cannot send me a notice of non-renewal. Why? You give me so much stress. And it was non-stop text messages, harassment from her, because she, I guess, was a little bit feeling bad about it. So she finally allowed us entry into the property after the notice. And when we went inside, the property was filthy, dirty, absolutely just horrible standing. And then she asked us, hey, can I stay? I gave you access to the property. Can I stay? And we told her, no, our minds are made up. We do not want to do business with you. So she gets upset. And what she does is she stops paying her rent. We're like, okay, you don't want to pay. So we filed a notice of non-payment. September arrives and we tell her, look, leave the key on the windowsill. And she goes ahead and not only stays in the property, so she's currently now a tenant holdover, deadbeat. But she files a rent escrow complaint. She files a rent escrow complaints to the courts, stating that three things. Stating to the court that we are con artists and the court should make us pay her to move. Second, she asked the courts to reduce her rent from $1,450 to $750. And third, she asked that the rent that she gave should be returned to her. And first of all, that was very laughable. But a lot of times, guys, when you have a tenant initiate a rent escrow situation, and there's no merit to it, because there are some terrible landlords out there. I'm not saying that, but if you're a good landlord, and most landlords are, if you're a good landlord and your tenant takes you to rent escrow, it's because they are preventively trying to stop you from doing an eviction. Through the court system, you cannot initiate an eviction 6 months after you put a rent escrow complaint. And so a lot of deadbeat tenants use that technique to stay in your property for about 6 months more. So the moment you have a problem tenant, you don't want to wait. You will do so much better by having a vacant property than deal with a property with a paying deadbeat tenant. Peace of mind is priceless. After the rent escrow debacle, and after the courts decided that we were in the right, the next day, next day, she changes the locks of the property. So that's it. That's the story so far. Guys, I appreciate you more than you know. Like and subscribe. And if you are a tenant out there who follow my definition of deadbeat, why? Like, don't you understand that you're making your situation worse? This woman didn't have a prior record. This woman now has three cases under her name. She has a rent escrow case, which she lost. She has a failure to pay rent case, which is pending, and she has a tenant holdover case, which is now pending. All of this could have been avoided if she just follow the lease agreement and work with your landlord, or just be a decent human being. Because now she probably will never rent. She probably will never rent again. Her next prospect from us is going to have to be a slumlord, because no decent landlord will even consider her as a tenant. And I don't understand how people screw themselves over like that. I don't get it. It's one thing to be financially illiterate, but it's another thing to be completely ignorant of your standing. I don't get it. And it's sad. It's sad. It's very sad. It's very sad. It's a little bit upsetting, because she's a single African American mother, and she's fitting the statistics. She is fitting the statistics. It is sad. And as a business owner, I am not a charity. I cannot subsidize that. And it's sad. It's sad. If you are a single African American female out there, just look at the statistics. There's a reason why they're statistics. It's not because they just make it up. Statistics like math, has some pull into it. And it's so upsetting because she had a chance. And we were willing to give her a chance, and she just took a big ass dump on that. So that's the recap. See you on the next post.